Hi y'all guys, sup? So as promised, here I am with a video where I'm gonna answer to all the questions that I have received in the previous days. All the questions are really interesting and I'm really happy to be able to answer to all of them actually. Most of them are in English and so most of the videos are gonna be in English, but it's okay anyway. If you want, you can activate the subtitles in your language. Subtitles are actually available for English, Russian, and Italian. So let's start. So the first question is by a friend of mine, Anna from Russia, and she asked me, è vero che il latino era la più facile per tu? I think that Anna wanted to ask, is it true that Latin was the easiest language for you to learn? Well, Anna, first of all, oh yeah, I'm gonna answer in Italian because you asked me in Italian. So, grazie Anna per la tua domanda. Sì, il latino è abbastanza facile per gli italiani, ma in realtà non posso dire che è stata una lingua facile da imparare. È abbastanza facile da capire quando è scritta, però in realtà la sua grammatica è molto complicata, è molto difficile e in realtà trovo più facile imparare la grammatica delle lingue moderne. The second question is from Juan Rami 36, and he asked, how can you not forget what you already learned? So first of all, thanks Juan for your question. This is a very interesting one actually. Well, how not to forget what you learn? Well, actually, I say that the key word is practice. So you have to practice on a regular basis. Better if it is on a daily basis, actually. So practice, practice, practice. Use the language, use the words, the vocabulary that you've learned as much as possible, as more often as possible. This really helps you in fixing all that you have learned into your mind, and this way you can be sure that everything you learned stays with you for a very long time. Actually, yeah, practice is the best way in order not to forget what you have learned previously. And in order to do that, you can do a lot of things, actually, a great deal of things, like, for example, watching movies, chatting with friends, reading books, reading stories online, reading articles, newspapers, listening to music and trying to sing along and to translate the lyrics and so on. There's really a lot of things you can do in order to practice and to maintain the languages that you have learned. And actually, the topic is a very big one and can be also controversial at times. So if you want to ask me something more precisely, you can actually leave a comment below the video and I can answer to you with a more specific answer if you need something in particular, right? And actually, there's another question that you have asked me, and the following question is, what's the best method to memorize vocabulary? Well, the best method to memorize vocabulary, actually, I think that it depends on the person, because every person is a different kind of learner. And so people learn in different ways. What functions for me might not function for you, might not function for other people. Because, for example, many people have visual memory, so they memorize things very easily if they look at pictures. Other people memorize better if they listen to words being spoken, and so on. So it really depends on you. But I would say that actually like a mix of all the things combined is probably best. Let's call it a cocktail that helps you learn in a more effective way, actually. because at least that's what I try to do on a regular basis. I don't just look at words. I don't look at pictures and that's it. I like to look at pictures. I like to look at images that help me that help me learn words. But I also like to listen to the words in their context, to read texts where the words that I have learned appear and are used, and so on. All the things combined helps me to learn better. Actually, they also say that when you encounter a word for the first time, you must repeat it and use it like 7 times in a day in different contexts. This helps you, this gives a signal to your brain that you wanna learn, that you wanna memorize this word. And also I can actually recommend you a very good app which is called Memrise. This is a website and also an app for your smartphone. You can download it and use it directly on your smartphone, and it is really good to practice words. And not only words, but also much more, like for example, collocations, chunks, and so on. So it's really helpful actually. It has helped me a great deal with so many different languages, and so I honestly recommend it to you and to all the learners actually. Right. Another friend of mine, a very great polyglot from Brazil, Eliseu, asked me, how do you find interesting content in the languages you're learning? Muito obrigado pela sua pergunta, Eliseu. Thanks very much for your question. Actually, this is a nice one too. Well, I don't even know how to answer to this because it all just comes so naturally to me. I mean, actually, I try to learn languages that are spoken in countries that I like or that have interesting cultures. And so actually it all comes very natural in the sense that, for example, right now I started to learn Ukrainian, and I actually feel very interested in Ukraine and in the Ukrainian culture. And so I just Google some stuff, and then I enjoy the content that I find. Like, for example, I like to listen to Ukrainian songs on YouTube, and I also know some series that I like to watch. And so, yeah, that's the way actually. I'm just interested in the culture. I'm just interested in the country where the language is spoken. And so I just look for things that are popular in the country, like the most famous series, the most popular songs, the most popular literature, and so on. And then I just try to approach the content and get friends with it. Let's say it this way, actually. Yeah. So this is it, actually. Well, actually, another thing that I do is find language partners to talk with, and maybe I ask them for recommendations like what do you enjoy the most watching, or what kind of music do you listen to, and then I try to listen to their suggestions, and this way I also become a fan of what they do or what they listen to or what they watch and so on. This is another great way in order to find content in the language and in order to practice the language. Yeah. And then there is a question from Todor from Bulgaria. This question says, знаешь ли какво е тиквеник? Честно казано, не знах, но търсих в интернета и сега знам, това е баница с тиква. И честно казано, трябва да ти кажа, Тодор, трябва да ти кажа, че баница е любимото ми българско ястие. Аз много обичам баница. И тиквеник аз не съм ял, но искам да го пробувам, когато си връщам в България. Благодаря за въпросите. Alright, so these were the questions that I received on Instagram, and now I'm gonna reply to the questions that I have received on YouTube. So let's start. Right. So the first question is one by Sánchez Jiménez Isai en español. Muy bien. Aparte de Assimil, ¿qué otros recursos has usado que hayan sido útiles en tu aprendizaje de idiomas? Bueno, primero muchas gracias por tu pregunta, que me parece muy buena, muy interesante. Bueno, Assimil es mi recurso principal a la hora de empezar a aprender un idioma nuevo y tengo que decirte que es muy bueno, la verdad, y que te lo aconsejo, que lo aconsejo a todo el mundo. Pero además de este método muy bueno, muy chulo, bueno, yo diría que hay muchos más que son muy útiles, que son muy buenos para aprender y para seguir aprendiendo cuando ya has terminado el curso de Assimil. Y bueno, eso depende del idioma, porque la verdad que para todos los idiomas al principio uso Assimil, bueno, para los idiomas que tienen un curso de Assimil, claramente, claro. Pero cuando se trata de ir más adelante con el idioma, cuando mi nivel ya es bastante alto, entonces depende mucho del idioma, porque para cada idioma tengo un recurso diferente, la verdad, porque me gusta hacer cosas diferentes en cada idioma. Por ejemplo, para profundizar los conocimientos del español, me gusta mucho utilizar un libro de gramática que es de una editora italiana y por otros idiomas y para otros idiomas, claro, tengo otros recursos. Pero una cosa que me encanta mucho, que me mola mucho, la verdad, y que creo que es muy útil para básicamente para cualquier idioma, es escuchar y ver los vídeos de Easy Languages que se encuentran en YouTube. Y esos son muy buenos porque se trata de entrevistas que la gente hace en la calle a otras personas que hablan el idioma, entonces a hablantes nativos. Y me parece genial porque así puedes oír el idioma, puedes escuchar cómo la gente de verdad habla el idioma rápido y con palabras que no siempre son palabras que ocurren en los libros, que puedes aprender cuando aprendes con un curso cartáceo, así que es muy interesante, la verdad, porque te da la manera de escuchar el idioma real. Entonces, eso sí, lo aconsejaría a todo el mundo, la verdad, porque es muy bueno y hay vídeos prácticamente para todos los idiomas principales, así que si aprendes chino, si aprendes ruso, si aprendes árabe o no sé, yo qué sé, alemán, portugués, hay recursos hay vídeos para todas estas lenguas, para todos estos idiomas, así que bueno, es un método para profundizar tus conocimientos, eso sí. ¿Y qué más? Bueno, yo creo que eso básicamente es todo, porque cuando yo tengo ya un nivel bastante alto en un idioma, es que no me da la real gana de seguir aprendiendo con libros, la verdad. Normalmente no, es algo que no me gusta. Prefiero más, por ejemplo, ver películas, ver series. Eso sí me mola mucho y creo que es una manera mucho más efectiva para profundizar tus conocimientos, la verdad. Porque también es la manera en que los nativos practican los idiomas, su idioma nativo, ¿no? Su idioma materno. Es así que ellos hacen. Guarami also asked me two more questions on YouTube. How do you keep the motivation? And how do you memorize strange things like the International Phonetic Alphabet? Well, coming to the first question, how do you keep the motivation? Well, motivation is essential in language learning, actually. I always say it. It's really essential because if you lose the motivation, then you're not going to progress anymore. So, how to keep the motivation high? Well, actually, you should just become a fan of different things. Like, for example, if you are learning Russian, if you become a fan of some Russian language singers or some Russian movies, you have some Russian authors that you like, then it all is gonna be very easy actually because you're a fan of different things. You like them. You like to keep updated. and so on. And so that's the best way in order to always have motivation about language, about the language. Yeah. And what about how do you memorize strange things like the IPA? Well, the IPA is very good if you want to learn the phonetics of languages. So actually a good way to learn this alphabet, especially if you have troubles with your memory, which is also my case sometimes. I actually recommend you memorize, about which I've talked before. This is a very good app and website that helps you learn, that helps you to learn and memorize a lot of words, a lot of vocabulary, and also other stuff, including the IPA actually. So you should just Google it, download the app on your smartphone, and start learning right now. Okay. So that was all, actually. Thanks again to all of you for your interesting questions. And if you have more questions, of course, you can leave a comment down the video. I'm always happy to reach you back, to interact with you guys. So just feel free to leave a comment, and please remember to subscribe to my channel in order to stay tuned with all my upcoming videos, and like the video if you actually enjoyed its content, and see you soon. Bye bye, have fun. Hey guys, it's me again. I actually already finished to edit the video and I was about to post it on YouTube when I realized that I had forgotten to answer to a question by Quesitor Veritatis, who asked me in Italian: quali differenze ci sono tra la lingua russa e quella ucraina? Grazie Quesitor Veritatis per la tua domanda, e come ho detto mi stavo dimenticando di rispondere, avevo già finito il video quando poi mi sono accorto che avevo fatto anche un breve video, uno short dove avevo chiesto se c'erano domande per me, e per cui eccomi qui alla fine del video, rispondo anche alla tua domanda con questa modifica post produzione. E beh, la tua domanda è sicuramente una domanda che per essere risposta per bene necessiterebbe di tantissimo tempo. Di fatto avevo anche già fatto un video dove avevo parlato della lingua ucraina, per cui ti rimando a questo video. E ti posso dire, per farla in breve, che l'ucraino non è un dialetto della lingua russa, ma è una lingua a sé stante. È un po' come dire lo spagnolo e l'italiano. Per cui in ucraino ci sono parole che non ci sono in russo, ci sono regole grammaticali che non ci sono in russo, ci sono regole di pronuncia differenti. C'è di fatto dietro una cultura, una letteratura differente. Molti ucraini non parlano ucraino oppure lo parlano male perché hanno per lingua madre la lingua russa a causa delle vicissitudini storiche e anche della posizione geografica. Per cui assolutamente ci sono tantissimi ucraini che parlano russo e non sanno l'ucraino, anche se penso che in base anche agli eventi più recenti, credo che nei prossimi decenni tutti gli ucraini passeranno progressivamente alla lingua ucraina. In ogni caso, appunto, si tratta di una lingua diversa, sicuramente molto simile, ma con le proprie regole. Per cui se sai il russo puoi capire, diciamo, l'80% dell'ucraino e viceversa, però ci sono chiaramente delle caratteristiche proprie. Spero con questo di aver risposto alla tua domanda. E that's it. See you soon. Bye bye.